Indiana Jones, It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute. This is the podcast where we rock Kingdom of the Crystal Skull like a hurricane, 1 minute at a time. It's a Scorpions joke. There's scorpions coming up.
Jeez.
Anyway, I'm Tom Taylor.
I'm Pete Mummert, and I always dance on my own dime.
I'm Gerald Christopher Huge Porter.
And I'm Alan Sanders, in for one wilder ride with these guys.
Hey, welcome, Alan.
Well, thanks for having me.
You are indeed coming to us from the Wilder Ride podcast, and we're excited to have you here because
Well, thank you.
is this ride wild? I guess we'll find out. It tries to be sometimes, but we're going to see what happens. But yeah, thanks for being with us for minute 49 of Crystal Skull, which begins with Mutt being attacked by scorpions, and it ends with Indy explaining to Mutt why the long skull.
Well, look at that. You got me there, Tommy.
I was a little proud of that.
Well, look at the mummy. The mummy at the very beginning. He's at the very beginning of this minute. He's on the sort of the left-hand side of the screen, center left. Do you recognize that guy, Pete?
Oh my God!
There you go. Well, Pete, let's hear Pete's answer, and then Alan, you're next.
That's
right.
either Mo or Joe Googly Eyes.
Well, that's a very good interpretation, but not the one I was thinking. Alan?
Really?
Yes.
I was thinking it looked like the goofy face guy in every one of the Star Wars movies that's always around all the droids and things.
Yeah,
That's wow,
good
you're
too.
right. That's really good.
Oh,
actually.
who tortures the other droid, like burning his feet?
No, like
That
you
guy?
always see him kind of like bouncing around with his head. He's like bouncing his head. But
All right.
Actually, he's Homer Simpson.
Oh gosh,
Wow.
he is a little bit.
Yeah. Well, here's what I had.
Weird.
I thought this was kind of a no-brainer. It's the butler from the Scottish castle in Last Crusade. Remember the nose and the way the guy
did,
kind
he
of
had
thought,
that
yeah, he
crazy
had
nose.
that nose, and they kind of did. And remember, he had that crazy sarcophagus that was in the shape of his profile and
Yeah.
his nose, the big long nose. It's like he finally buttled off. I think he caught Indy's cold. And that's what it is. I think it's kind of interesting that he, 20 years later, he winds up here.
This is I unfortunately I love where you're going with this, Jerry, but unfortunately I think you're a victim of your poor screen resolution.
Oh,
He seems to have a normal sized nose and a nose plug.
Oh,
He
you're
does.
right. Yeah, there's something like on his nose.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of people wore like a nose plug.
you know what? Are you watching this in color? Well, hey, we get a scare. Scorpions with violins. Yeah.
Another insect who gets their own instrument.
Yeah, exactly. Shrieking violins.
Now, wait, are we going to get letters? Are scorpions actually insects?
No,
Probably
I
getting
think
yelled
they're arachnids, right?
at. Okay.
they're part of the spider family. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Already failed.
Right.
Yeah, they've got 8 legs and then they've got
Yeah.
2 pincers, but they are part of the they're an arachnid.
Huh.
Son of a gun.
Come on, Tommy.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Tom started this minute out with some extreme prejudice that I'm curious because with sharks now, you're not supposed to say shark attacks anymore. Like marine biologists are trying to get people to say a shark bite.
Are you supposed to say something happened that might have injured some bathers and just leave it at that?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Mutt's having a run-in with some scorpions that might
An encounter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Confab.
I wonder if there are parts of the world where this is like a massage. You know, like if you go to Sri Lanka, you can get a massage where like the fish nibble your feet. I wonder if like
Oh, right,
scorpions
yeah.
crawl all over you.
I don't know. I think
Yeah.
it depends what kind of massage you're looking for, Peter. I mean, we have these
Huge.
we have we got these gratuitous crotch scorpions.
Yeah.
I was gonna say when he's going after the scorpions in his crotch, it reminds me of Gerry when he's anxious. Call back.
Unfortunately true.
Is that's a callback to Anything Goes, I believe.
No, actually, it's not. That's,
Oh, was that on here?
Yeah.
That was last week on this very
Oh,
show.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry. We're Alan doesn't know the joke. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. I'm
will by the
along
time
for
you
the
hear
ride.
this.
Alan, I am actually quite envious of you for not knowing this joke, to be honest.
Speaking of, have any of you guys actually had the fish nibble your feet?
No.
No, I didn't want to do it.
Not my toes. I've had. We used to have a lake that we grew up with. Grew up in our subdivision. It was a kind of a man-made planned subdivision of the 70s where they built like the school in the dead
sure.
center of about 5 subdivisions, and so everybody had kind of like a small lake, and they had these little fish, and it would always come up and nibble your fingers if you wiggled them underwater. You'd see these little fish come up and think that they were like worms or
Oh
something.
wow!
Always
Oh,
just
wow.
freaked me out as a kid. Yeah.
Did it hurt? Was it like a bite or was it like just a gentle nibble?
It just felt like a little tug, like a little,
Okay.
like because they didn't have like teeth. They weren't like piranhas or anything like that. I mean, we didn't grow up in, South America. It was Detroit. If Detroit, I was actually more worried about cutting my foot on the bottom of the, like beer bottles and stuff. But
Right.
So this wasn't an exfoliation tool.
Yeah. Tommy, question for you. You're
Yes, sir.
you're my you're the barometer here. The weather
Okay.
vane.
I try to be.
Dance on your own time, will you?
Dime.
dime.
Oh, dime?
Yeah.
He says dip. So
Yeah.
I
It
not
comes
only
down to about the same thing, though, doesn't it?
What's that?
They essentially mean the same thing in this context, don't they?
They
Dancing
kinda
on
do
your
mean
own
the
dime
same
he
or
says
thing.
dancing
dance.
on
Yeah,
your own
it's
So
the same
not
thought.
only can I not see the guy's nose, I can't hear any of this movie.
Yeah.
dime.
You have a cold.
Yeah.
Wait, it's dance on your own dime.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So like if you're gonna dance, you pay for it.
Right.
Yeah, but how is he paying for it? Like, how is Indy paying for it right now?
Well, I'm assuming Indy paid for this whole trip. Actually, I don't know who paid for this whole trip. I don't know how
guess
anyone's
that's it,
affording this
yeah.
trip. This is an expensive, like shipping that motorcycle down must have cost a fortune.
Well,
Yeah.
but keep in mind that what was his name? Provost Charlie or whatever. He gave up his entire career so that Indy could continue to get his part-time salary.
That's right.
you think Indy stole his severance too? Like he stole Provost Charlie's severance?
Yeah, he probably did.
Yeah.
I think regardless, he definitely has enough money to pay for Mutt to be dancing right now. It's not a big deal. You should leave him alone.
I like that. I don't know if it's Indy or Harrison Ford who actually laughs when he says this. Like it sounds almost like an outtake.
Oh, it did. No, it definitely sounds like an outtake. I was going to say,
Yeah.
okay, so Tommy, weigh in here, please. Is this a line from an Indiana Jones movie?
Sure. I think if you replaced Mutt with Willie, he could easily say something exactly like that.
Would he have
And,
ever
and
said
if he
that?
did, we'd be complaining about it in Temple of Doom.
Yeah,
Probably.
we already had
But
a bad penny.
I see. I mean, yeah. I mean, once
it's
you go to
true.
Bad Penny, like it's all uphill.
Yeah. Now we increase it tenfold, right? Is that what we're
Yep.
saying?
Yep.
Exactly.
Look,
yeah.
I'm kind of. I get where you're coming from. To me, it feels too much of the forced. Hey, we're living in the 50s. You put the
Yeah.
dime in the jukebox. You have a.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. He's a greaser. He used to hang out in the malt shop. Whatever. It felt. There's too many of these little one-liners here and there that make me go, God, if you just hadn't said that line, this scene would have been a little bit better.
something
Yeah.
poodle skirt.
Yeah. Well, Harrison Ford must have thought that too. That's why he can't say the line with a straight face.
Right. You guys serious?
Why don't you Hulu your hoop somewhere else?
Yeah, I mean, why didn't he actually just say, like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah. Cut it out.
Like, why is
Stop
he
doing
making
that.
a joke here? I mean, he doesn't know that he was, he had this scorpion encounter. And
Yeah.
so he just sees Mutt flailing about, and they're in this cave or tomb or underground chamber, whatever, subterranean, semi-subterranean, scary place. Why does he?
Hold that thought, by the way.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
We're
Well,
going to come back to the subterranean part in a couple minutes.
All right.
Why does he say that? Why does he just make that joke here?
He says a lot of stuff in this movie that he doesn't need to say.
Yeah, like doesn't he know something is going on with Mutt?
Did you just call him smut?
No, but I'm glad you can't hear.
No, I have a huge issue with this because with his silhouette, you see he's staring back at him. He's been looking at him as Mutt jumps from right side of frame to left side of frame back to right.
Mm-hmm.
He can see him, so don't tell me that we were like he's so far away he can't tell that there was things crawling all over his legs. I mean,
Right.
that is your typical, I just walked through a spiderweb spider dance we all do in the middle of wherever we are. When we start doing all that, we're flaying around. We realize, okay, you either walk through a web, you got, there's something that flew in your face. I don't get why he's sitting there like making a joke out of just him sitting there. It would have been so much better to me if we're going to do all these callbacks like we keep doing all this little imagery to some of the other movies.
Uh-huh.
If you remember in the very first movie, the tarantulas, another arachnid, he didn't have a problem, but he had to wipe them off the other guy. Why didn't we just have a shot of him come over to, here, don't worry, kid, these are big, they don't bother you, and just brush them off? It would have been a great allusion back to the first movie.
Do you want to see
Yeah.
where Indy walks over to Mutt and said, "Don't worry, kid, these are big," and like rubs his crotch? Was that really what you're asking for, Alan?
Wait. Did Pete just say
Well,
that? Did Pete Mummert say that?
Something's wrong with my headphones.
Yeah.
I'll just let you know, I bring out the absolute best in people, so this is going to be a fun episode.
I guess so.
I actually feel like this works, and the reason I feel like it works is I feel like Indy is hazing Mutt.
Yes.
Like I feel like
agree.
Indy is playing, I'm the seasoned explorer. I'm gonna show you that I'm the seasoned explorer, and I'm gonna haze you a little bit.
Yeah, he's having fun with it.
Yeah.
He's giving the kid grief.
And
So
I think that's.
Are you
fine.
saying so he knows that he's just had a scorpion encounter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was in his genital area. He saw the whole thing and he said, "Oh, those are big ones, the scorpions, that is." And he was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, so I'm
Congratulations.
just going to give him a hard time here."
Hard time.
Yeah. Because I think Indy knows he's not actually in danger.
Right.
It's like they're just blasting you over the head with this stuff.
I have an excellent question about all this. Is
Mhm.
it really hard to write dialogue for Indiana Jones? Like, especially
I'm gonna say
after
yes.
like 20 years or something?
Yeah,
Like, there's been
I'm
a
gonna say
big
yes.
gap between movies and there's a new guy writing it and stuff. Like, I wonder if
Yeah.
it's just hard to put words into this guy's mouth that sound like
Yeah.
him.
No, I mean,
Because a lot of, I'm with Pete that I think that's just what's happening here. He's just kind of hazing him a little bit. But at the same time, it's like, why is Indiana Jones saying these words right now?
yes, exactly. Why? It's like the timing is weird.
I'm okay with the intention. I get it. You want to but it feels really weird. You're in a place where there's things that can happen. You're seeing these. He's flailing with these. It's not one. I mean, he had 5
Yeah.
or 6 scorpions crawling all over him.
Yeah.
I mean, you're kind of sadistic if you're thinking, look at him. I mean, come on, it doesn't
Oh,
make
got
any
killed.
sense.
I actually have less of a hard time with this line with the quit dancing on your dance on your own dime than I do with like the 2 or 3 minute explanation of the whys and wherefores of scorpions and the
Yeah.
size that you need to worry about. And like that just goes on it feels like forever. I know this is only 1 minute of the movie, but I feel like I sat there for 10 minutes hearing him explain scorpions.
At the very best, it's clumsy.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
it's
just
it's a little clumsy.
It's just clumsy.
I'm not sure I'm going to buy that.
Well, it's clumsy at the beginning. I'm going to go on the opposite. I liked him saying, well, was it a big one? Because that is actually a true statement that
Oh, okay.
the bigger scorpions don't actually have nearly as much venom and very rarely sting. They use their pincers more. And it's the smaller ones that tend to have the bigger venom
Right.
or the stronger venom.
But he sort of explains it twice. It goes on like one sentence too long.
Well, I'm on board with that, Alan. I think that's great. But if I'm Mutt, I'm not going to trust Indy when he says when a small one bites you, don't keep it to yourself. Like he doesn't say if a small one stings you. Like, and I'm going to think this guy might not actually have any idea what he's talking about.
Yeah.
I was going to say the exact thing. Mutt at least used the right phrase. I got stung by one,
Yeah.
which is exactly correct. Indy goes, if one bites you, they don't bite.
Yeah.
They either pinch you or they sting you, but they don't bite.
Yeah. Aren't most of your friends dead, old man? Why should I be listening to you for advice about how to stay alive?
I got a general question about where we are here, actually, just in the geography of the movie.
Uh-huh.
You're
And I
not
don't know,
alone.
maybe you touched on this last minute. Were bodies they couldn't afford to go down in the crypt? Did they just kind of park them all over the place? Because there's like skeletons, like basically just like they just sat down and died right where they were, and they said, just leave them.
Yeah.
Or there's skeletons all over. Even before we got in here.
Well, that's actually that's one of the few things I think they get right. Is in ancient Peru, they would actually sometimes bury people sitting up, like with their knees up against their chest, and they would mummify them.
Oh, I get that in here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because it does seem like a little fun house-ish a little bit. Like we were
It
saying
does,
last
yeah.
week. Yeah.
I just had more of an issue with the last minute. When they came, when all the little, I guess when they were in the mines of Moria and all these things were jumping out of holes and into things coming after them.
Yeah.
Which I didn't understand that at all, which was last minute. I wasn't here, but
Yeah.
there was skeletons lined up like everywhere, and it was outside. It wasn't even inside the burial area.
It provides a Hansel and Gretel type thing.
It does. Yeah.
I mean, they're. He even says, at one point, I can't remember this minute or this week, but he says, that means we're getting closer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's coming up.
Yeah.
But they are really pushing the haunted house vibe in this scene.
Right. So much of this movie is like there's so many things just shoehorned in.
Yeah. That
like
is true,
a lot of the lines, the haunted house thing, Mac.
Yeah. What drives me nuts is how this movie is about a crystal skull. They're trying to find a crystal skull. That's like the big thing that everyone's after. And they keep bringing in other this crystal skull stuff.
Yeah.
Like we see all these dead bodies with the elongated skulls.
Uh-huh.
And now I'm thinking about those strange skulls, but that has nothing to do with the crystal skull. And like the Mitchell Hedges skull has nothing to do with the skull that we're looking for, but they keep bringing it up. And it's like they're trying to confuse me, or like they didn't erase it from like the previous draft of the screenplay or something.
See, all I kept thinking the whole time is, well, we're going to tell you how this ancient culture must have been contacted by aliens, and that's why they did it in honor of the aliens, as if the aliens were here a long, long time ago, and they wanted to keep pushing that to me. Like they want you to remember, hey, they visited 5,000 years ago, and that's why they all bonded their heads together so they, their skulls would, form like this. And there were cultures that did that, but everything I looked up, and Pete, you might have more detail, but what I looked up was they either thought of it as a sign of stature to have an elongated skull in a lot of these civilizations in South America, or they believed you'd have a higher contact with a spiritualness or like the spirits, not because they wanted to honor some alien god that came down out of a spaceship.
Yeah, exactly. And there was and I'm sure Tom read this in Current Anthropology in 2017. There was a fascinating study by Matthew Velasco where he actually
next to the toilet. I haven't gotten to it yet, but I'll pick it up the next time I'm in there.
He actually studied the Calagua women of Peru, and they all practice skull elongation. And they studied the diets of the women that had their skulls elongated and those that didn't. And the ones that did had much more varied diets, and they suffered a lot less violent trauma. And so the indication is that it was most likely a sign of status. But what they're saying is that when they were doing it was right when the Incas started moving in on sort of the edges of their land, and they were facing a lot of pressure from the Incas invading. And so it became almost like a way to wave a flag as a symbol of national identity, as we're all going to have our skulls like this because this sort of sets us apart and identifies us.
Oh, like the Sneetches.
Yeah.
They got stars upon theirs.
Yeah, Sylvester McMucky McBean.
Yeah.
For $1, you can have your skull elongated.
Wait do you hear about the Incas I've seen?
I looked it up where they had, as you said, Alan, apparently a lot of places, there are different cultures around the world did do this. Now, apparently there's some Incan, some Mayan, some North American tribes, but I guess in Vanuatu, which is in Oceania, they maybe still do it. I think Sylvester McMonkey McBean was just there.
Well, I read some places were still doing it. Yeah, some were still doing it into the 20th century.
Yeah.
I even read about some
Yeah.
places in rural areas of France and areas of Europe that people would still do either the flattening or the elongating. But
Yeah.
it's still, I haven't found anything that said they did it to imitate their version of God.
Right.
Right. Well, they're trying to draw that whole. God, I can't remember. Pete, what was it? Graham Hancock. What was the book?
Oh, Fingerprint of the Gods.
Fingerprint of the Gods. They talked about the aliens coming to.
And they've been trying to draw this connection for. And if you watch any, quote unquote history channel, you'll get a lot of the same, like sort of random connections to try to throw wild speculation to say, hey, these people all practice skull elongation. Doesn't it look like our movie images of aliens?
Right.
So getting back to Tommy's question here, I like connecting this whole crystal skull thing with skulls we actually see in this minute that Mutt even points out. So the point is, aliens came, and the Nazca people thought that they were the gods because they descended from the sky, and they had alien skulls that were long, and so the Nazca actually tried to be like their gods, and that's what they did.
That's
I
kind
think
of what
that's
it sounds like.
Yeah, I think that's where they're pushing.
And so I can't remember, what is the actual damn crystal skull?
I don't know.
Is it an alien skull?
We haven't gotten there yet, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah. I
I'm
don't
not
think
sure.
it's a spoiler to say that it is an alien skull.
Okay, I have a huge question that has been killing me this whole time. And I know I wasn't at the beginning, but we know in the very beginning of the movie, the entire premise is they went to go get the corpse of one of these aliens. Why do they need a separate skull if they already have one?
That's a
I
great
do
point.
not know.
Unless that skull, actually, I have no idea. That alien doesn't seem to have anything to do with the aliens we see later.
Yeah.
Because that alien was from 1947.
Yeah. I've seen this movie a few times since we started doing this, and I'm still waiting to find out. Like, I don't remember how it connects. I know it shows up
I don't
later,
think they do.
but
Later you're going to see, I mean, I don't want to spoil it for whoever gets that minute, but later you're going to see like the body, I'm assuming, of the one that they stole on the operating table, and they peel back the back of its head and like, look, see, it's crystal skull. I'm like, why do you have the other one? I mean, you obviously their bone structure is crystal. But there's so many things like that. Like it's the little things where it's almost like they want to over explain too much. If you would have just told a freaking adventure story and been, just go on an adventure. We don't know why this is, but anyway.
But then why did that happen? Like, why is an alien coming in 1947? Is he just really late to pick up his friends who crashed in 1600?
Right.
But Pete, that's amazing. That's a great question. What are we doing? And also, the aliens were supposed to, the Nazca lines, aren't they?
The Nazca lines are like 2,000 years old.
Yeah. So
the Nazca lines are like 2,000 years old. Oriana was like 1600.
Yes.
And Roswell was 1947.
Right.
He's 400 years late to pick up his friends, I
feel like
if you've ever had Gerry pick you up,
There we
not
go.
actually completely out of the realm of possibility.
no, not those Nazca lines.
Oh, you're never going to believe I took that wrong turn at Albuquerque.
that was the first problem. It wasn't Roswell.
Yeah.
Did any of you guys ever call your dad man?
I love that. He calls him man twice.
Yeah, their skulls, man. I do. You know what? I kind of like that too. I don't know why, but I do.
I like it too,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
You know what? This is a perfect time. Wait, let's ask Alan. Alan,
Yeah.
where do you sit on the whole Mutt thing, or where do you stand on it? Where do you stand or sit on Mutt? How are you feeling about Mutt?
First
we know
of all-
that Mutt takes a lot of grief, but how do you feel about him?
Okay. I don't fault the actor. He's got no choice. He's reading the lines he's got, but it's there are moments that are really nice, and then there are moments where it makes absolutely no sense why you have this forced kind of buddy movie between what we're going to find out is father-son. And even the ridiculous comparison of how Indy was named after the dog, so his son is actually named Mutt. I'm like, this is like, it's so dumb. Once again, hitting you over the head with stupidity. I don't like it. I don't know why it doesn't bond well to me. I think there are scenes that they do very well together. And I think, I don't know. I'm kind of ambivalent because half the time I'm thinking, okay, he's at least pulling his own weight. He's doing okay. Half the time I'm going, he's just in here for a forced father-son adventure.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. Cause I feel like Shia LaBeouf actually does a pretty good job with what he's given. Like, I don't feel like he's at all the problem with this movie. I don't even feel like Mutt is the problem with this movie. I feel like it's like
the same thing with Willie Scott. Willie Scott, is poorly written character, but as the actress, she did a phenomenal job with a crappy written role.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think he's doing the same thing here.
Yeah.
It's a crappy role, but he's really making the most of it that he can.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think at least up to this point, I think the role isn't even that bad. I think so far I kind of enjoy the role of Mutt. I don't remember enough to say.
Well, I could have done without how he debuted. I mean, I don't need the whole.
That was a little rough.
Yeah.
Oh, that was bad. That was really bad. Actually, it's really hard to take him seriously after that. But what I was going to actually tell you guys, because I know we're kind of going through these minutes, at least we got what I feel are the closest to a Raiders feel in terms of going through and exploring a temple. There may be a line here or there that I don't like, but for the most part, this section of the movie where he's figuring out the puzzle, climbing through, I'm enjoying that element of Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
I agree. We were talking about that last week. I think how this felt like an Indiana Jones movie. Like, a lot of this movie doesn't feel like an Indiana Jones movie, but the part where they're down here exploring in these crypts feels a lot like an Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah, and in upstate New York.
Yeah, for the fall festival.
Yeah,
Harvest. Husker bee. But yeah, I think the main reason I asked that is because I like look at their skulls, man. Look at their skulls, man.
Yeah,
there's something very we keep saying it. There's something very natural about him. He's a good other characters who we've had trouble with in these movies. A lot of it is like, oh, there's something hammy or weird about him,
right?
And Mutt's just very natural.
Yeah,
I think Mr. LaBeouf is a very just sort of natural actor. I haven't seen him in a ton of stuff, but I kind of get that sense from him.
Our Mutt watch is still at Sunny.
Yeah. Looking good, man.
Yep.
Look at the skull.
Yep.
Well, speaking of looking good, man.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Boop.
Yeah. All right, so this just in from Professor Christy Porter. Look out, there's eurypteries on your dungarees. There's clickers on your knickers. There's nippers. There's nippers on your zippers. There's taranturants on your underpants. Wait a minute. There's vinegaroons on your pantaloons.
Wow.
Wait. There's arachnids on your future kids.
God. Wow.
Well, she put some time into that one.
Yeah.
Picturing Christy's kids coming like, Mom, can we have dinner? Like, no.
Wait. Just one more.
You just see her in the corner, like chuckling one after the other, like, oh, that's even better.
Wow.
Well, now.
Yeah, pretty good.
Done, Professor.
There's arachnids on your future kids. All right, that's my favorite. That's good.
Well, now that we've survived this far, Alan, we hope you've had fun for this minute.
Oh yeah,
and we hope you'll come back on Wednesday.
Quite an adventure.
Come back on Wednesday.
Yeah, you know what?
See?
You know what? It's perfect because we always make a joke with our art podcast because our first movie we did was Young Frankenstein, so we always do things on Hump Day. It's because we can always turn around and say, "What hump?" So I'd love to come back on Hump Day.
Beautiful.
There
You
you
can
go.
bring Marty Feldman with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, before we go, tell us about that show. You're from the Wilder Ride, and it's awesome.
Yeah, well, thank you. And you guys have all at some point appeared on episodes of The Wilder Ride, seasons 1 and 2. I think Gerry was not able to join us for Blazing Saddles, but we did Young Frankenstein season 1, Blazing Saddles season 2, gearing up for Silver Streak. And we do something like you guys, just analyzing the movies of Gene Wilder 1 minute at a time. You can find us at thewilderride.com, and it's the same name and branding everywhere. So on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, look for The Wilder Ride. And whatever your podcatcher of choice, look for The Wilder Ride, and come hang out and see, hear two idiots, me and my buddy, my co-host, Walt, talk about Gene Wilder and all of the shenanigans that he gets himself involved with.
That's awesome. That's a good idea. Like
Yeah.
instead of like going after another series of movies or something, you're just like, no, we like this guy. Let's just go after this guy's career.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It gives us a lot of variety.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
And we are just following a very specific set of movies by Mr. Harrison Ford. That's the only reason we're here. But we will be doing more of this this coming Wednesday. Please join us again for minute 50 of this movie, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, here on the Indiana Jones Minute.
Do it, Tommy. Do the scorpions on your crotch noise.
Wait, is there a noise?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like,
Yeah.
There's a noise when... Oh God.
And then it goes like, ah, 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 ah!
Well, see, now why'd you ask me to do it? You got it all, you're good.
I wanted
Queued up.
I wanted to beat you at it.
There you go.